Here is exactly why your septic tank alarm is going off, how you can fix it, and how you can prevent it in the future. Now, if you have a red alarm light going off on your aerobic septic system, it indicates that you have high water levels in the pump tank. Now, here's one of the most common reasons we get called for high water levels and red alarms. I noticed that on Mondays, our technicians' schedules are full of going to service red light alarms. So I asked one of them, why is it that on Mondays our schedule is so full of red light alarms? And his answer was simple. Here in Central Texas, a lot of homeowners wait to do a lot of their laundry and basically like household keeping things until Sundays. And because they're doing all these household chores on Sundays, they are hydro overloading their aerobic septic system. Hydro overloading is just a fancy way of saying they're pouring a bunch of water into their septic system. Their septic system doesn't have time to move the water through, treat it properly, and then pump it out. And therefore, the water levels rise. So as silly as this sounds, one of the most common reasons why on your aerobic septic system you have a red light alarm going off is simply because you're putting too much water into the system on one particular day. And by the way, if you ask any of our technicians, they will say the simple fix to this is just to wait a few hours before you flush anything anywhere. Don't use your disposal. Don't take a shower. Don't do laundry. Don't use the bathroom. And after a few hours, the system has some time to reset and you can resume normal activity. Now, the other thing I noticed about our technician's schedule is that they are always getting called for red light alarms after heavy rain. So many homeowners ask us, why is my septic alarm going off after heavy rain? And the simple answer is, especially in places like here in Central Texas, where the soil is not the most absorbent in the world, when we get really, really heavy rain, oftentimes a few things happen. Number one, if you have an aerobic septic system and there is any way for that groundwater to get into your system, it is going to find its way in and you're going to get a red light alarm going off after a thunderstorm because you're literally filling up that tank with rainwater, not water from your house. And so it's filling up too quickly and you're going to get a high water alarm. Oftentimes homeowners aren't aware that their septic tank is positioned in a way or their yard is graded in a way where it's literally pushing water on top of the system. And sometimes those riser lids that lead down into your septic system are not actually sealed properly. You can see on screen a photo of one that isn't sealed properly at all. This is the pump tank, and there's a massive gap where that PVC is coming out, where it actually pumps the water out of the pump tank. So you can see when it rains, you're gonna get all sorts of water in there. And we find this all the time when we go on location and service those red light alarms after a heavy rain. And on top of the rainwater being able to get into the system directly because things aren't sealed properly, oftentimes even your gutters to your home will be pointed so that the water is draining on top of the system in the first place, or even into your drain field. Your drain field is that area of your yard where after the aerobic septic system treats all of the water, it either sprays it out through the spray heads or it drips it out underground. And you can imagine if you have a drip system where the soil is actually having to absorb the water underground, if we're dumping water through rain and then the gutters are capturing rain and pouring it on top of that drain field as well, or your yard is graded in a way where it's all going to go to the drain field, then we're soaking the drain field, we're waterlogging the drain field, and it's becoming less absorbent. And you can see, like I said, if you're in Central Texas and you're having this problem, it's because we've got soil here that most of the time isn't that absorbent anyways, and so now we're making it even less absorbent by waterlogging it, and so the water doesn't have anywhere to go, it doesn't have anywhere to be absorbed. And so you're going to start seeing those red light alarms going off after the thunderstorm because all the water is soaking your drain field, hence we're not able to pump it out quite as fast because it's not being absorbed as fast, and now you got those alarms sounding. And the third place where we see red light alarms going off all the time is when the homeowner tells us, hey, we just had a house party. When you have a bunch of people to your house, you're hosting a bunch of people, they're using the bathroom, maybe they're spending the night, maybe they're showering, maybe you're putting a bunch of stuff down the disposal, and then all of a sudden the next morning, boom, that red light alarm goes off. Or better yet, that red light alarm goes off during the night and our technician goes out the next morning only to find out that there was a house party the night before. And of course, this comes back to my original point, hydro overloading the system, putting too much stuff too quickly into the system. The simple answer is to step back, stop putting things in there, let it reset, and move on. Now, when these red light alarms go off, is it an emergency or can it wait? We talked about a few things that could be causing it that are more benign and easier to fix just as a homeowner, but often we find things like broken floats. We find miswired electrical components that have to be rewired, and so the system isn't actually registering things properly. And so the difficulty is not panicking or not panicking, it's simply diagnosing what is causing those high water levels, which requires really an expert who sees these things on a day-to-day basis. So while no, a red alarm is probably not reason to panic and call 911, it is in some sense an emergency because if we can't diagnose the problem and figure out why those levels are rising, then you might have a massive problem on your hands very quickly. Now, homeowners often ask us, how do I silence or reset the alarm safely? Well, on most panels, you are going to see a switch that looks like this, and you can see HWA high water alarm that you can access somewhere close to the light itself. And generally speaking, when it's going off, it's going to be switched in the upright position, and you should see the light and hear the sound. All you have to do is flip it back to its middle position like this, and that is going to mute the sound so your neighbors don't get upset with you. Now, obviously, doing that is going to turn the sound alarm off, but it's not going to fix your problem. So the question is, who do you call when your septic tank alarm goes off? Well, our simple answer here at Luna is our contracted customers call us as soon as their alarm goes off, because they're already on a monthly contract with us here in Central Texas, where we actually go out in person, inspect, and maintain their aerobic septic system every 4 months. So anytime they have any issue, including alarms, they immediately call us because we're their service provider. Before any homeowner in immediate need, you can call any septic service technician. However, candidly, one of our big advantages in having so many contracted customers is that we have the history on every single customer's septic system. So when we go for a red alarm light, we can actually see through all the documentation from the past exactly how many alarm lights they've had in the past, what was fixed, what was the problem. We can see all the diagnoses in the history. And because of that, it helps us catch things and do preventative maintenance before alarm lights even go off sometimes. And that is part of why we encourage homeowners to be on some sort of regular maintenance contract with some sort of qualified and vetted septic service company and technicians, because the bottom line is it's a big black box under the ground that most homeowners don't know about. And most of the time, we don't even think about it until there's a massive issue. And so preventative maintenance like this doesn't just keep you from panicking when you have a red light alarm. It also tells you things before that alarm even goes off. Now, finally, a lot of our customers ask, how do I prevent my alarm from going off again? Number one, if you save your laundry or your house parties for Sundays, try to space things out in terms of how much you're flushing. Number two, if you get this consistent alarm going off after a heavy rain, it may be something that you need to anticipate in the future if you've got a yard that pushes the water onto the septic tank, if you don't want a big bill to regrade a yard. But if it's a small problem, like there's an opening, there's some things that aren't sealed properly, like the picture you saw on screen, those are easy fixes to keep that alarm from going off after thunderstorms. And finally, if you're watching this video and your red alarm keeps going off and it's not because of anything we mentioned here, you definitely want to get in contact with a qualified service provider so they can diagnose the problem and we can stop this from happening. All right, guys, that's it. If you got some value from this video, hit the share button and text it to a friend who you think is also going to get some value by understanding why their red alarm is going off on their septic system, because here we want to make septic simple. And from Luke here at Luna Environmental, I'll see you guys in the next video.